Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tess of WrestleZone.com, joined by John Clark tonight to talk about WWE Monday Night Raw. John, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Very eventful episode tonight, so definitely lots to get into.
That there is. It's funny that there was a point pretty early on where I heard someone say that there wasn't a lot to talk about, wasn't a lot to really, not enough really newsworthy coming out of it. And then the last hour, especially, things kind of hit into high gear, really, in some good ways, in some bad. We'll get into all of it. Before we do, just want to remind you all this show, like everything we do here, is available on all of our platforms, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever it may be. We've got you covered. So leave a like and subscribe. Already getting some nice comments here. Steven, what's up? Hope you're doing well. And hello, Nesha. Thank you for joining us here tonight on Monday Night, the Monday Night Raw post show. Obviously, the road to WrestleMania continues here. We are 5 weeks away, and tonight's show definitely, furthered that road and added some matches to the card, or if not added, heated up others that we had already known about. But we might as well just dive right in. We got Kirk Jackson saying that Edge turned heel here. So let's dive right in with the quote unquote main event segment. Edge addressing his WrestleMania future was one of the very few segments advertised for the show. Last week, he set the stage for his WrestleMania challenge. Didn't actually get an answer, but by and large, I think everyone could probably have predicted, and I think we talked about it last week. We were largely leaning toward AJ Styles. That would make the most sense, other than something totally crazy like a Cody Rhodes match or something. This is something that Edge has been talking about in interviews. AJ Styles talked about in interviews. This makes it makes the most sense, and so thankfully, at least the match itself, WWE went with it. They had AJ Styles come out and answer the challenge here from Edge at the end of the show, simply saying, "I accept." That was all AJ really said. There's an Edge said that he's looking forward to the match. He knows it's one that AJ wanted, and then he said, "I don't want. I want the pit bull or the bulldog AJ. I don't want the tag team bitch you've been for the last year." And then he just really kind of turned heel. Yeah, he just really tore into him, beat him up, and not just beat him up, but blast him with two concertos here. So we got a bunch of comments about this already. As I said, Kirk saying Edge turning heel here. Eddie Zahari seems to be glad to see this match finally happening. Steven saying Edge turning heel, maybe because of that, or at least as a general prediction, saying that he can see AJ winning. Nestor saying she liked the Bulldog versus tag team bitch line, and crediting Edge's eyes here in this promo. Edge really delivering a good promo here. And Brian Everett chipping in saying, "Hey guys, happy we're getting AJ versus Edge. Surprised by the whole turn." So yes, and kind of similar here with Scott saying, "Makes no sense to turn Edge heel." John, what are you thinking here? First of AJ accepting the challenge, and with Edge pretty clearly turning heel right off the bat here.
Oh, well, I might be in the minority here because I was a fan at the start, and then I'm not. No, I do not like this. Um, I agree with Scott's comment. It doesn't make sense turning Edge heel randomly with no build to this at all. Sean also saying, two heel turns in one night. WWE getting desperate. And DJ mentioning Edge is going to put AJ over at Mania anyways. Now, I agree with DJ's comment, but I don't think you needed to do this in order for AJ to win. AJ could have certainly won as a heel. In fact, I think it would have probably been better for him to win as a heel. Now, I get that Edge is probably the better heel just in general. He's always been a good antagonist and thrived in that kind of role. And let's rewind for a minute and say that Styles was really one of the only logical choices that it could have been, so I don't think anybody was surprised here. He didn't have any clear direction on where he was going to go at WrestleMania. Neither did Edge, but you can't keep either of these guys off the card. So this is a dream match for a lot of people. Still, even though I got like ridiculed online for giving my take about feeling this way, but people were like just going after me saying like, no, this is good, Edge is a good heel, AJ, this was needed, AJ just turned face. Like, okay, if that's how you feel, whatever, but like I just personally don't agree. Regardless, it's going to be violent, it's going to be an intriguing 3 or 4 weeks before the show. I thought this was decent as far as like the structure and storyline aspect of it. I just don't like the I guess I personally thought maybe it was a double turn, but people were saying that AJ was already a face when it's ever since the Omos thing. So to each their own. At the very least, I thought this was a heel turn from Edge. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. For Nesha suggesting maybe a TLC match. No, this is going to be a normal one-on-one match, I would assume. Nothing special unless they keep this violence the next couple weeks. Then maybe like a falls count anywhere. But uh, we'll see. Eddie says AJ Styles ball always be the target. AJ Styles will always be the target. Anyone who wants to turn heel. Well, yeah, that does make sense. People seem to turn heel on AJ, so I understand that.
I think it
And
really
then,
means his ball, John. I think he means we got another comment saying that people tend to kind of
oh,
kick him in
because
the
he got
nuts
kicked.
whenever they
Okay,
turn
that
heel.
makes sense. Yeah, and then Brian saying, why couldn't we just get Edge versus AJ, two baby faces like Mox versus Daniel Bryan? I've seen a lot of people saying that too. I don't know. I can't answer that. Colin can't answer that either. We don't write the show. But it seems like you may be at least a different opinion than I do because I'm pretty against what they did here. You seem to be okay with it though. Am I right?
I will elaborate on my thoughts a little more. Just want to get through some of these comments here. Definitely seems like a lot of people not loving the heel turn. Steven saying don't like the heel turn either. Another comment about AJ getting hit in the nuts. A couple comments saying that Cody Rhodes was probably the only other kind of conceivable possibility, but even that was probably a long shot. There was like a split second to that where I was like, is it gonna be Cody? And then even like, I just got a little carried away, but no, I felt like it was always gonna be AJ. Michael saying, oh, Edge, he's not in when he's hungry. I guess Edge was a little on edge because he maybe had a light dinner or something. He was not himself tonight. But also Stephen J was wondering if this could be Edge's last match. Not necessarily. I mean, I haven't heard anything about that, but I mean, anything's possible. I don't know. I would imagine he'd want to go out as a face, but these days you never know. You really never know. And we got another comment earlier. Herman had said that he misses the heel Edge. I saw some comments on Twitter generally saying that like heel Edge was overdue. I mean, for the record, they did turn Edge semi-heel last year for WrestleMania. When they had the Roman and Daniel Bryan thing, that was a pretty like shades of gray thing, but I would say it bordered on heel, if not was fairly heel. So to say that it's like so overdue, I wouldn't necessarily agree. But I do think Edge is a very good heel. That is important to note here. He's been great as a face. He's great as a heel too. But
I will say this. I will say this real quick. It worked because at first I wanted Edge to win this, and I very, very clearly and definitely want AJ Styles to win this now after what we saw tonight. So, for what it's worth, what they did worked as far as people's opinions and trying to get them to think a certain way. I just don't like what they did. Is all I guess.
Yeah, and I would probably tend to fall more on the side of it that they could have just had Styles versus Edge, two fan favorite baby faces, two living legends, kind of gone with that, of a friendly competition. I know that in some sense that may sound kind of lame, but I think there's a way you could do that in an interesting way. The first time Undertaker and Shawn Michaels faced off, neither one was really a face heel that I can remember. The second time, Shawn was more of a heel there. But the first time it was really more just, like we're two legends, we're gonna have a match, we know it's gonna be good. May the best man win by and large. And I think they could have done that here. There's a way to do that in an interesting way. I just think a lot of time WWE feels the need to, to make it a little more traditional of like the face and the heel, good guy, bad guy. That's just kind of what they do. And by and large, it works and it works fine and it's good. But this is a case where I thought didn't really need it. And I agree. That's just saying they could have had the match, didn't need Edge to turn heel. That's kind of where I'm at with it. But I'm sure it's going to be good. They do have, as we said earlier, roughly 5 weeks. So I'm curious to see how they tell the story. I just have a feeling they're going to overcomplicate it. Like, because to me, why? Why did Edge turn heel? We just saw him a month ago teaming up with his wife, being the good guy, doing the whole thing, beating up Miz and all that stuff. And that's saying 33 days. I have 33 days. I guess technically less than 33 days if you count like the Raw to tell the story. I'm more kind of stuck in my head of like why, how are they going to explain this? Like, what's the motive? Is he jealous? Is he aggressive? Like, I don't know. But on the flip side, Michael's saying Edge has been heel for the majority of the last year. Would not make sense to turn him back heel. So if they want, as I just said, if they wanted to go with the heel face thing, kind of had to be Edge. and I think that's fair. It's just like, again, I think it is a little unnecessary. But yes, absolutely, Brian. He says he's pumped anyway. I'm pumped anyway, and I think it'll be match of the night. I tweeted about this earlier, just more as a more of a general sense. It's just been a recurring thought I've had lately. Like most of the matches for WrestleMania, either the ones that have been announced and the ones that have been rumored or reported, don't do anything for me. I'm sorry. That sounds really bad, and I feel bad saying it. Like I'm excited or at least interested in Roman and Brock. It is a big match. I'm curious to see how they handle it. Although today the report broke they're probably going to just keep it two separate brands for the titles, which isn't as interesting. But at least there's that dynamic. We've already seen Belair and Lynch. Charlotte and Ronda has been weird so far. Then you throw in the wild card of Vince McMahon seemingly having a match reportedly. Don't know, thank you. That's not what I'm here for. Yeah, talk even Steve Austin, like even the legendary Steve Austin doesn't do anything for me. I'm like, I don't want to see him 20 years later. At what? Yeah, pretty much 19 years later from his last match. And the fact especially that Vince is going to be reportedly facing Pat McAfee of all people. I like Pat McAfee as a commentator. I thought he did great in NXT, and limited action. But boy, I don't know, man. That's I'm hoping these next 5 weeks are good, because otherwise I don't know. It's gonna be weird. But hey, we might as well talk about it. We might as well talk about the fact we got the first official seeds planted tonight for something with Vince McMahon for WrestleMania. We saw for the first Austin Theory Vince McMahon segment in a while. They're talking about the fact that Vince McMahon, as announced last week, will be on the Pat McAfee show on Thursday. That'll be available on YouTube, so make sure to check that out. And Theory tried to say, "Oh, like, aren't you worried that he's going to jump you?" And Vince McMahon said, "Oh, it's not that kind of show." And he walks away. And Theory's like, "Oh, but it could be." And I'm like, "Is that what we're doing? Like, what?" And that's just saying that we don't need Vince. They could do Theory versus Pat. At least that'd be a match. But reportedly, take it with a grain of salt. Reportedly, the match on the match listing is internally Vince versus Pat McAfee somehow. Although probably that's not going to be an actual match. It's going to be something. I don't know, John. What do you think about this? What does the idea of Vince McMahon? I think he's 76, 78. I think 76. Do anything for you at this point?
Yes, it does actually.
All right.
I really like this idea because he's still a big name. He is 76. I think this is a pretty big deal because he hasn't done this in a long time, and one of the reasons I'm okay with it is because I don't think it'll actually end up happening that way. I really think that Theory will step in here and be the one to actually wrestle in the match. I was playing all of these scenarios through my head, and for those of you that watch football and know about football, you know who Aaron Rodgers is, and he's a big guest on Pat McAfee's show every Tuesday. He has controversy himself right now with his NFL future. Now, I thought it would be a damn good idea to have Aaron Rodgers accompany Pat McAfee as Vince McMahon would accompany Austin Theory, and they could do a whole thing like that. This is meant to be entertaining to pull people in. I think it's going to do that just because Vince being Vince, it's going to draw people's attention. Let's not forget Pat McAfee, who has millions and millions of followers and subscribers, who will draw in a non-wrestling crowd to watch the show. Um, to me, this is smart from a business standpoint. From a storyline, hardcore fan aspect, I get why people don't like it. I think this is a good idea. I just do. I think it's going to work. I don't think the match is going to be a 5 star. It's not going to be probably a 2 star, but I think it's going to serve its purpose. WrestleMania is meant to be the biggest spectacle in sports entertainment. That's why you see people like Johnny Knoxville and Logan Paul and Vince McMahon and Pat McAfee, and not people like I don't even know. A normal wrestler that wrestles on 50 other weeks out of the year but doesn't get a spot at WrestleMania, and they bring in these people and I know it sounds bad, and you're thinking, well, that doesn't sound right. It's a spectacle. It sells tickets. Well, maybe not actually at the stadium because they're kind of hurting for that. But as far as getting people to watch and generate buzz is what I'm talking about. So I'm okay with it.
My problem with that sentiment is that then like it feels like it's becoming like, if not every match, all right, but we're starting the balance tip a little bit. It's like, all right, you give me Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn, all right, like at least that makes sense. They've been building it up since before the Royal Rumble, at least the story, and I can get into that more than this. And then you think about Logan Paul, that didn't do anything for me last week. I think that we saw that reveal, quote unquote, last week. Um, and now the idea, again, not officially confirmed yet, but by all reports seeming to suggest leading to the direction of Vince McMahon doing something. The fact that you're getting all three on the same card, potentially more somehow, so some more celebrities or whatever thrown in there as well. Oh man, I don't know. And again, like I agree. Okay, I agree that it makes more sense from a business standpoint, but there's I think a consequence to that, as you just said. Then you sacrifice in some ways like the ability to have. I mean, and we saw. I will reference what Chad Gable said tonight. Chad Gable, guy, very talented wrestler, but far too often a show like WrestleMania, they load up on either if not celebrities, part timers or legends, whatever. And so then a guy like Chad Gable is left off the card. So he said tonight, I believe, that he's never been on the card, and to me, that just doesn't seem right because he's so talented. He's such a great wrestler, and especially now, he's really hitting his stride. So I hope he'll be on the card this year, but more for instance, the general pattern. I mean, I wouldn't go so far as Eddie Zahari saying he's heard people calling it the worst WrestleMania ever. This isn't unprecedented, okay? We know they do this all the time. I'm not saying, oh, where's this coming from? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it feels a little gratuitous this year. That's what I'll say. And until we officially kind of see how this unfolds with Vince, I can't like fully criticize or anything, but I'm concerned, I guess. I don't know. But
I got you.
Speaking of Chad Gable, might as well bring it up. I guess there's a twofold thing here. We had Alpha Academy face Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens early in the show after the KO show with both teams. Of course, we know that as currently scheduled, there will be a triple threat tag team match for the Raw titles next week. American Alpha defending against Rollins and Owens and RK Bro, of course. So Rollins and Owens defeated Alpha Academy, the champions, tonight in non-title action. Later in the show, the Street Profits faced RK Bro. And both matches were very, very good. Definitely kind of leaning into the idea, or the feeling for me at least, that Rollins and Owens could very well win the titles next week. But I think one of the bigger unfortunate storylines coming out tonight's show was that although not officially announced yet or anything, there was a very scary spot at the very end of the RK Bro match. Montez Ford, amazing frog splash, does it every match pretty much and never has a problem. He's great, never had an issue. But tonight, looked like he landed wrong somehow, or something went wrong, and looked like he landed right on Randy Orton's shoulder area. And it looked like Randy Orton was hurt. He stayed down after the match, and it just very clearly looked like something was wrong, just based on the pure observation. Again, nothing has been officially announced yet. Want to make that abundantly clear, but that did seem to be a potential cause for concern. Riddle, was checking Orton more than you would usually see after a move like that, after a loss like that. Usually, of course, the partners kind of regroup and lick their wounds or whatever. But this seemed to be a pretty apparent injury, so we don't officially know yet. As soon as we know more over on the news side of things, we'll keep you guys posted. But I don't want to speculate too much. But if Orton is hurt, that would be a big bummer. For this is the road to WrestleMania, so that would be disappointing. I guess John, first, what do you think about the two tag team matches? And let's say worst case scenario, if Orton is hurt, how do you see this unfolding? Because again, it did look like that may be something that happened.
Yeah, so as far as that Orton match goes, I mean, it's sad to see because it really was a good match. The ending was just very awkward. It seems like I don't know if Orton, maybe he didn't want to kick out because he didn't want to be in the match, or he thought the foot thing, maybe he was hurt, he didn't want to move this part of his body, so he was just trying to get the foot out. Or maybe it was a planned spot that just went wrong because Dawkins did grab the foot as if he was trying to like put it somewhere. So I'm not sure. But the match was good. Everything up to that point was great. They worked really good together. I thought maybe they were building up to eventually have like a fatal four-way tag match of sorts if they're not going to do the Owens and Stone Cold thing. But Dawkins is getting better by the week, and I'm glad to see because the focus has always been on Montez Ford. We don't like to speculate about Orton, so I don't think I'll talk about that much. But it is a bummer to see because this match next week I was excited to see. I think we'll probably get a pretty clear indication on his status because I think if he is hurt, it would be within a couple days they might announce a change or even announce the injury if it's to the extent that he could miss more than just a week or two, which it looks like if there was an injury that probably would be the case. So we'll see what ends up happening. You have to feel bad, especially like for somebody like Riddle, who's like kind of like now what, he's in that kind of situation there. So I'm excited to see this match if it does happen. Of course, I think it's going to be a good match. But I don't know. I have doubts at this point, and I think for a good reason.
No, of course. Yeah, again, I don't want to speculate recklessly. I'm just saying we're talking about what seemed to be the case based on what we saw, and it seemed to be the general consensus. Again, as more becomes available, what you'll all know. But it does, as you said, John, raise questions, raise some concerns here, and I'll reference something you. I think I saw you tweet, John, tonight about potentially Stone Cold Steve Austin showing up next week, even if RK Bro is out of this one. I
Yes.
think they could still definitely do this. Steven saying Stone Cold could show up next week and help the Alpha Academy retain, but if Steve Austin coming back is not a thing, or at least not next week, he sees Rollins and Owens winning here. So is that something you see as a possibility, a probability, or something you at least want to see happen next week? Steve Austin coming back and
Oh,
kickstarting that?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. That's what I want to happen. But of course, then that puts Rollins in the situation of what does he do? It's almost like his only possibility of a match would be if they could get Cody to come back at that point. Like, because like Rollins is just like the middle. Like, what else would he do realistically? Like, nothing. So I don't know. I'm on the fence, but I would like to see that happen if at all possible. Um, I'm going to turn back the time machine way back a couple years now. This is before COVID in March of 2020. If you recall correctly, there was supposed to be a Austin 316 celebration in
Oh
Pitts
my gosh, I remember that.
in Pittsburgh, PA. In Pittsburgh, PA, and like it was like that day or the day before is when they canceled shows
Yeah.
and said there's no Raw, and I was robbed of seeing Stone Cold in person. So I feel like this would be. I mean, he's going to be at WrestleMania regardless. Even if he's not in a match, he will be at WrestleMania. But I want to see him either in Cleveland next week or in Pittsburgh in 4 weeks, like he was supposed to be the first time. Which I think if he is going to be involved in WrestleMania, he would be on the Raws leading up to it. We'll see. But to answer your question, yes, I would like to see that happen.
As for Rollins here, Michael Covenant saying Rollins has been red hot, 4 straight victories. He's beat Riddle, Orton, and Riddle again, and now Alpha Academy tonight. So even if Steve Austin comes back and that happens, you have to imagine somehow Rollins will he won't be left without a dance partner for WrestleMania. I feel pretty safe in assuming that. But Nesh Kurz for the tag title match here, predicting that Alpha Academy will not lose right now. At least based on what we've seen so far. Again, she's predicting they're going to win. I mean, yeah, I think I would agree with that comment about, if Austin comes back, I could see that being a way to get the titles off, or sorry, to keep titles on Alpha Academy right now. But if not, I don't know. I like the idea of Owens and Rollins winning. They continue to tease potentially unifying the tag titles. I like that idea. I might as well unify some titles around here because I think that the tag team division, by and large, as good as some of the teams are, that the depth isn't really there. So I think that'd be beneficial. But Gavin with the comments saying that if Orton's injured here, Rollins versus Riddle for WrestleMania would be pretty good. I think that's a pretty good contingency plan, again, especially depending what they do with Kevin Owens. Again, if Steve Austin is on the table, I think that would be good. It would be a very good match. I think they could easily build that story. Laura Rock saying she's heard about Rollins versus Cody being a possibility. Again, it's hard to say, oh, I think that's going to happen when the Cody Rhodes thing is so up in the air. Like I can't confidently say, yeah, I would think he's going to come in for WrestleMania, because at this point, again, 5 weeks for WrestleMania, and that's some time, but I would say that time is quickly running out. Where I would imagine they wouldn't want to quickly throw that together. So there you go. But yet another notable development tonight, we saw a new champion crowned when Finn Balor won the U.S. title by beating Damian Priest. This was one of my favorite parts of the show. No knock on Damian Priest, I'm sorry, but we've been talking about this for weeks and weeks now. The split character thing, inner Damian thing was not working, at least for me as a fan. I thought Damian had a pretty good run as a face, as a genuine face on Raw and throughout the fall. But the second they started with this like inner Damian thing, they lost me, and it's gotten, I would say, pretty much worse ever since. DJ saying the shift finally happened. Damian Priest, and yes, so Balor won. And right after the match, as soon as it ended, Damian Priest was upset. The inner Damian came out and he said, "Oh, these people lifted you. All you people never supported me," and he got all upset. And then he attacked Finn Balor and gave him the razor's edge, or whatever you want to call it, through the announce table. Pretty clearly setting up a rematch there. And I saw this idea going around a lot, potential battle of the demons, both internal and external, I guess, at WrestleMania, with Finn Balor being the demon versus Damian Priest. Nessa saying that she's glad Finn won. Balor winning was overdue. That's what Brian Everett says. Yeah, I thought this was the right call. I just, time to kind of do not exactly hit the reset, but just kind of go in a different direction with Damian Priest and see how this heel turn could go. John, what do you think about Balor winning the title, Priest turning heel, and where we might be going from here on out?
Oh, well, we're definitely going to get a rematch. I think that's obvious, and I think it'll probably be the Demon versus whatever his moniker is going to be at WrestleMania. I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to get. Now, he'd been teasing this for a while now, but it's been on and off, where you never thought it was actually going to happen, but then it finally did. Tonight was the full transition, like it's solidified now. That's the direction they're going in. Now that there's a clear villain on the card, I think it would make more sense to proceed with this match. I think it will, and I don't think he'll win. But who do you think would win?
If it's Demon Balor, I would have to think it's going to be Balor because yes, Balor lost as the Demon to Roman Reigns, but that's Roman Reigns, and they had the rope snap debacle. If you remember that back at Extreme Rules, I think other than Roman Reigns and that level of competitor, again, not knocking Damian Priest is not Roman Reigns, so I would imagine they would want to kind of preserve Demon Finn if that's what they're doing here. To do that, if they are doing this, heel turn, full-fledged thing, please go with it. Please stop with the, inner Damian coming out and he's like a good guy sometimes. Like he clearly turned heel here. He's the heel, so like just roll with it. Like they stop, flipping back and forth. I think that's more interesting. That's more of a compelling story here. But overall, here Eddie's saying he's predicting Demon Balor versus heel Priest for Mania. Well deserved for Balor. It's funny. It's just, I think like a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago, there were reports that Vince McMahon stopped seeing Finn Balor as the top guy. Granted, U.S. title doesn't mean he's seen as a top guy, but at least we're seeing a renewed interest in featuring him. I think that's a good thing. But no, I would agree. Presuming this is a rematch, likely for WrestleMania, I wouldn't necessarily see Priest taking the title right back. I just don't think that would make a whole lot of sense. Jesse joking that Priest is probably going to lose his last name now. Just be Damian. Honestly, Jesse, I could see that because Damian being the demon here, or I could see it. The demon versus Damian, quite literally being on the billing there. I mean, I guess this is progress in terms of compared to what we were seeing, and I am very happy to see that with Balor here. But DJ's asking, do we think Priest will go back to the Arch of Infamy character, the one we saw in NXT? I mean, Priest was really a heel for a while there on NXT, so I think they could do that. I don't know if it's likely. I mean, that's kind of in a weird purgatory where it's like they don't really reference a lot from NXT to begin with, at least that era, and now they're doing that whole 2.0 thing where we've seen more crossover there. We'll talk about that in a minute, but no, I think for now they're going to do the whole inner Damian thing, and maybe they'll kind of circle back to that eventually. What do you think, John? Do you think they're kind of do that eventually, or do you think that's kind of a thing of the past?
Oh, I don't know. It's really hard to say. I just think that his time as champion is probably, dwindling, and his good run of the top 5, 6 in the Universal rankings I jinxed last week because that's probably coming to an end too.
I would assume so. Someone who was likely not ranked in your top rankings there, T-Bar. T-Bar was back on Raw tonight. Steven Chambers saying T-Bar an almost match, no comment. we're gonna stop. Just maybe do a touch above no comment. T-Bar had a match, almost is back on Raw. Almost had a video package and a brief promo talking about how dominant he is and has been. Almost absolutely dominates T-Bar here. T-Bar, slightly less face paint, so I think that's some progress. But yet again, I feel like we talk about this for over a year now. Maybe someday Dominik Dijakovic will come back, and I think that'd be better. I tweeted about it during the show. Dominik Dijakovic has plenty of potential. T-Bar, not so much, and they're the same person. So, yeah, hopefully someday. But Steven Chambers saying he'd rather see Veer than Almost. Well, folks, don't take some solace in the fact Veer is still coming. He is still coming to Raw. He's going to get here eventually. We don't know when. We don't know how. If you want to see Veer come, just watch Main Event. Comes there all the time, but still has not come on Raw yet. Maybe one of these days. But something I did enjoy tonight was the fact that we just it was bittersweet. We saw Tommaso Ciampa on Raw again. That's a plus. We saw Tommaso Ciampa win the match. That's a plus. Tommaso Ciampa faced Robert Roode as part of this kind of crossover storyline with NXT 2.0. I think that's pretty cool, even as someone who has been very critical of NXT 2.0, just the collaboration, the crossover, the shared universe. I love the MCU and all things like shared universe. I like that. So like I like when companies or whatever use all the toy, or at least acknowledge that I don't know the span there. That's not just Raw. That's not just NXT. There's obvious overlap, and they're literally on the same network. So that makes sense. Ziggler is a Raw superstar. Ciampa's on NXT, so that makes sense. It makes sense, and it's good. So last week we had Balor and Ciampa beat Dirty Dogs. Then they were doing their thing down on NXT. We talked about that on the NXT show. This week, or speaking of NXT, last week we saw Ciampa face Robert Roode. Robert Roode took the loss here with a roll up from Ciampa, but of course, I myself and many others were upset. They took away "No One Will Survive," one of my very favorite theme songs in all of WWE, maybe even in all of wrestling at this point. And Brian saying that was the best part of Ciampa. I mean, Ciampa is a phenomenal wrestler. I think he is great as a wrestler. I am a big fan of his theme song, though. So they took that there. I hope he still has on NXT. If this is like his 100% new theme song, I will not be a happy camper. But I am glad at least that Ciampa's winning matches on Raw, and it feels like he is kind of somewhat on Raw now, or at least splitting duty, kind of like Karrion Kross was for a while last year. That's the thing, that she loves Ciampa. I've been a big fan of Ciampa for a while here. But John, what are you thinking about this ongoing crossover of NXT, Ciampa winning matches here, and it being a part of Raw at this point?
Yeah, well, I think that it's been something that hasn't really made a whole lot of sense, but they've been trying to tie it together with the NXT feud. The theme music is terrible. They did not need that.
Bad.
So
No.
I agree with Eddie. No one can survive. Um, the feud though itself has been pretty good so far. I like that Tommaso won. So we'll see what they do with him on the main roster. I'm not convinced it's going to be anything great yet. So there's not much you can do except kind of just give them the benefit of the doubt. But can you really do that? So I don't know.
They make it hard to. Man, I like to come from Eddie. I thought of this a while ago. I just randomly thought of it one day, where the song "No One Will Survive" has turned into like a very uncanny commentary or like theme song for the rounds and rounds of budget cuts that literally no one will survive. And I just think that's kind of ironic, especially the fact there were some cuts for NXT. It's a shame, man. It's such a good song. And I do think they changed this. I remember hearing at some point they changed the deal they had. They had CFO doing the themes for a while there. I believe they changed that and they got someone else doing them now. Don't quote me on that. I'm not positive. I remember hearing something along those lines, and I do know it's on my phone, John. It's on my Spotify. No One Will Survive. I listen to it all the time.
You mentioned it last week when we were talking about it.
Love the song. I love the song. So I can confirm it's by CFO. So I remember seeing it may have even been a year ago. Like it's been a while. I remember seeing that they have a new person or there's something with CFO. So I would imagine that may have been why. And yes, it is a very generic theme, and it's not good. So it's a shame. But boy, and yeah, Scott George. Unfortunately, as we're seeing here, maybe not Vince specifically, but WWE as a whole, tearing down Triple H's NXT, which we can say, including Ciampa's theme here. It's a shame, but DJ pointing out more historically, they changed. I guess they changed from CFO when they fired Jim Johnson. I thought CFO was after Jim Johnson. I think there's a new guy now or new person now. I don't know. I feel like there's something about that. Like that's why they're doing more of these non-CFO theme songs. But I digress. There was also a new Raw theme song tonight. I didn't notice the theme song. I noticed the opening video more. So I actually can't comment too much on that. John, did you notice the different theme song tonight?
Yeah, I noticed that in the video package. I thought it was pretty cool. Nothing wrong with it.
I like the old one, and I want to pour it out for Legendary by Skillet. I loved that era of Raw. That was I like that one a lot. Okay, Brian saying if they play music from CFO, they'd have to pay them. I guess based on some disagreement they had there. Again, I think that's a shame because I think a lot of CFO's songs are good. If I remember correctly, I think Finn Balor's is also by CFO. I think Ricochet's as well. Like a bunch of that era of superstars. I could be wrong on that one, but that doesn't bode well for some of these other theme songs. But we also had a 6-woman tag team match to hype up Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch. Now, John, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Nikki ASH has won a single match since she turned heel. I can't think of one. She's lost to Rhea Ripley a couple times. There was one time they were going to have a match, and then she attacked Rhea before the match. So they couldn't actually have the match. So she won the night, but didn't actually win the match. And she took the pin here, which all leads me to say that Nikki turning heel has not done her any favors in a meaningful sense of wins and losses, but apparently those don't really matter, so it's okay. But of course, the big story here, for whatever reason, John, Bianca Belair's hair is not a weapon. It was literally compared to a kendo stick. It sounded like a kendo stick. It left the same impact as a kendo stick, but it's not real disqualification. Bianca used it on Becky during the match, sent her scurrying to up the ramp there. She had these really bad welts, and it sounded like they may have gimmicked the mic or something to make it sound even more loud.
Oh yeah, they absolutely did.
So, but people seem to respond well to this. They're like, oh wow, like the whip sounded so good. So even if they may have pumped it up a little bit, I think it came across fairly well. But at the very least, Bianca pinned Nikki ASH, got more momentum. And yes, Jesse, I agree. The hair should be considered a weapon because she's just whipping it, and like it's a weapon, John. It's a weapon. But Bianca won out of the match here, getting more momentum for this WrestleMania match. What are you thinking about this match at this point? Any thoughts on the 6-woman tag team match? Bianca's hair and anything to that effect?
I mean, it was all right. It was a pretty good tag match that utilized all the talent in a pretty good manner. It was obviously an edited audio to when the hair whip there. It still gave all the women a chance to showcase their talent and be featured on the show, which is nice. They had time too. It was competitive. It wasn't rushed. So I think the talking point of this will obviously be the Belair and Lynch hair whip, which we'll probably see again at WrestleMania. Uh, I'm excited to see who gets that win because I'm still on the fence about who will get the win there.
Yes, it remains hard to tell. I still think it should be Bianca. I don't think that's a given at this point. I mean, anything can really happen. But I do. Good point from DJ. Maybe they'll do a stipulation of maybe Bianca won't be able to use her hair because she's used it several times. And that's pointing out no, it's not the first time. She's used it any number of other times here in various matches. So I do think it should be kind of not outlawed. I mean, in this match, maybe find a way to kind of, I don't know, do a pick your poison and have Becky be able to choose a stipulation or something. But no, I think it's a weapon. Like they literally could call it compared it to a kendo stick. So I don't know. I thought the match was fine. I thought it was good for Bianca to win the match here. Nasha predicting that Bianca's going to win at WrestleMania. I think that's probably the right call. DJ upset they had Becky dressed like Ray Ripley. I think there definitely was a lot of similarity there. They both dressed in like black a leather like outfit. I wasn't that bothered by it, but maybe a little more coordination of outfits would help. But Jess Mossing Bianca's at least going for back-to-back WrestleMania moments. I believe today they confirmed both women's title matches will be on the same day.
Saturday.
Saturday. I don't know what the thinking is there, but there you go. That's a thing. Like they announced it. What any thoughts on why they might have done that, or if you are in favor of that, John?
I'm not in favor of it, and I have no idea why they're doing it unless they're planning on adding a handful of more matches to the second night. That's the only thing I can think of for as far as for the women go. I don't know. It seems like most of the matches they've announced so far have been for night one, except the Roman and Brock matches night two. I think everything else that's been confirmed to have a night is on night one.
By and large, yeah, I think I can't think of any others that have been specifically linked to night one. I think that's obviously subject to change as always, but maybe one of the matches they announced tonight could be on night one, John. They randomly threw together after probably a total of 2 minutes build that Carmella and Zelina Vega will defend the women's tag team titles against Sasha Banks and Naomi at WrestleMania. Now, John, on SmackDown, they had maybe 30 seconds of Naomi coming into the ring after Sasha Banks beat Shotzi, and she said, "We're going to be the next women's tag team champions." I don't remember her saying anything about WrestleMania, but for whatever reason, tonight on Raw, Carmella and Zelina Vega took this to mean that it was a challenge for WrestleMania, and that set the stage for a title match at WrestleMania. Now, John, I've said it several times on this very show. They have 5 weeks. They have plenty of time. Like that's a good amount of time, especially because they could have Vega and Kamala on both Raw and SmackDown. That's plenty of time to build up this match. Not saying it's going to be a show stealer or something that like everyone's really on the edge of their seats for anyway, because that's where we are with the women's tag titles. Just a little more. Give me like 2 weeks of like some storyline. I don't know. This just like really just felt like a pretty bad like lack of storytelling effort of like, again, 30 seconds of Naomi's like, yep, we're going to be the next tag team champions. And again, I watched SmackDown Friday. I covered the whole show. I don't remember her saying anything about that, about the WrestleMania challenge. And so that didn't make sense in the first place. It is worth remembering that Banks and Naomi used to be in Team Bad together, Team B or Team BAD, whatever you want to say. So there's history there. I feel pretty safe in saying they're going to win, but interesting wrinkle. Carmella has teased something for if she and Vega win WrestleMania, John. She has teased that with a victory.
Bedroom celebration.
Not just a bedroom celebration, just like Angelito famously did many years ago. She made it abundantly clear that, in reference to Vegas saying, "Oh, on your new show that's on the WWE YouTube channel, cheap plug, you talk about sex all the time." And Carmella said, "Oh, you think we talk about sex all the time? Just see what happens if we win our match at WrestleMania." And that's how they announced that. John, I could. They're not going to do this, are they?
No, and let me tell you why. Because speaking of which, on SmackDown, did you see me on TV on Friday? You had to have seen me on TV. Come on, the big Penn State jersey in the middle. You didn't see me? Come
John,
on.
we were talking before we went on there. It wasn't a sold out show. I'm sure they may have panned you at one point.
I
I was
was in
not.
row one. I was
You
facing
went
the
row
camera the whole
one.
time.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Well, unfortunately, I did not see you rocking the Penn State gear. So
Anyway,
that was that.
the whole Sasha and Naomi thing, they're going to win. They're going to win, so there will be no celebration. That's all I wanted to say. How did you guys not see me? Like, literally.
That's a look for you, John. That's a look for you.
You didn't
You
even
know,
have to look. I was in the first row. Like, I don't understand. Oh my gosh.
in my defense, I'm half watching most of the time. I'm writing stuff. I'm rarely like fully look there. Oh, wait, John is showing us his phone. I see you now, John. I see you during the. Okay, see, if I was looking closely, I could have seen it. I was watching that segment actually. So there you go. If you're watching on video, there is John Clark front and center on SmackDown on TV. John, you're a celebrity. So there you go. John was in SmackDown on TV on Fox. John, you're a superstar. But
Oh yeah.
but yeah, Eddie pointing out if in a wild world they do Corey and Carmella doing some live sex thing, it'll be much more PG. And keep in mind, Edge Lee did that. I think that was 2006, and that was like borderline attitude, like okay, ruthless aggression era. So it's still kind of the aftermath of the attitude era. So they were still doing crazy stuff. I don't know how they would do a watered down version of that, but I don't want to see it. I don't. I'm sorry. Like Naomi and Bianca's winning is much more interesting. Also,
I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it.
it is worth pointing out that they had okay, it's by adding Banks and Naomi as a team, John, they doubled the size of the women's tag team division in WWE. That is remarkable and very sad. That is very sad. So
It's miraculous, though.
Oh,
Yeah,
miraculous
but
growth.
I thought that was all right. But you want to talk about something that was worse involving the women. And I wasn't going to talk about this, but I briefly have to cover it because it was quick and harmless. There
Harmless.
was love in the air tonight. Unfortunately, everyone involved of this is capable of much more than what they're in. Tozawa, even Reggie, and yes, Dana Brooke and Tamina. Oh boy, I don't know how I feel about all this. You go ahead and give your opinion because I don't really want to.
All right. First off, Nesha, my friend, saying Romas is in the air saying, "Come on, Colin, you loved it." All right. I love Index. I love love. I'm a fan of love. I want other people to be happy. I like seeing people be happy, like when it's done well. This was not done well, like not as a knock on the performers, but like this was not written well. Like we had this tag team match. Yes, DJ. Again, we're seeing like too far leaning into NXT 2.0 on Raw and SmackDown here. I noted that. I think 2 weeks ago on SmackDown. Now John, it's spreading. It's spreading. There's a joke to me there. It's spreading badly. It's permeating throughout the main roster here. Now we're seeing.
Unfortunately, they don't all look like Gigi Dolan either.
Oh well, you're right on that one. But you know, this man. So they were generous enough to play a video package where we had Reggie screwing over Dana because he was tired of being in the friend zone. That was 2 weeks ago. Last week we had Dana pin Reggie to win the title. To win 24/7 title, I should say. And then, we've got this, hot romance story, the soap opera like thing unfolding on Monday Night Raw. This is what we're all watching the show for, 3 hours of romance and whatever you want to call this. And also at the same time, you've got Jesse saying Tamina, Tamawa, whatever you want to call the couple of Akira Tozawa and Tamina. The will they, won't they romance that they're doing as well. Doing both like at the same time. They're overlapping in different ways here. With the 24/7 title as the centerpiece of this romance. So now mixed tag team action: Reggie and Dana versus Akira and Tamina. Reggie and Dana won, and then after the match, Dana just like plants one right on Reggie, kisses him so hard he falls down. They're making out on PGTV. Cool. And then if you remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe last week, time is a blur. Akira wanted to kiss him Tamina, and she refused. She was not having it. She said, no, I don't want any of you. She walked away. But tonight, she grabbed him. We had a moment of incredible suspense. And everyone was on the edge of their seats, and she kissed him. And Akira Tozawa was very happy. He got the kiss that he wanted. Love is in the air. But yes, Nesha, very good point. This show tonight, we're recording on February 28th. Valentine's Day was 2 weeks ago tonight. Why in the world didn't they do any of this on the day of love, on the very day that love is meant to be celebrated? Michael's saying that Reggie's getting something better than the title. Oh boy. Oh yeah, I would say so. That was a good one. Good, well played, sir. But Jesse's saying that the recaps of Dana kissing Reggie so hard, her makeup ended up on his face. Yeah, that she planned him right, right on the kisser there. I don't know. I just again, I loved Index. I like when it's a like fully fleshed out story, and you've got like peaks and valleys and swerves and well, okay, this one has had swerves. I can't say that it hasn't. When they're done well, when it's a compelling story, I'm invested and I'm interested in, and you draw me in. Index had the benefit of the way of Johnny Gargano, the MVP of NXT, and Candice LeRae, both a very 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 talented group overall. This isn't that. This isn't that. So I don't know where it's going to continue to go. I don't feel like it's going anywhere particularly good. But no, of course, Sean, it's worth pointing out. Reggie, for better or worse, he keeps getting put in these weird romance storylines. If you remember, he was kind of in a romance thing with Nia Jax way back when. That was a thing. Now he's doing this. Eddie's wondering where it's going to go next week. Well, they're not going to do two live sex things, so I think they're going to reserve that for Camilla and Corey, down the road, maybe.
Will you be tuned in?
Well, John, I'll have to be. It's my job to be. If they do it at 9:30 on a Monday, like I'll be here whether I want to be or not.
Okay, fair enough.
But both Reggie and Nash just saying Reggie is a player. He is a player. For better or worse. So we'll see how it unfolds. I don't know where it's going. I don't think they know where it's going. I think they're just writing it out. But I don't know. Something else I don't really get the point of. I guess two things. Steven Chambers pointing out, yes, the Hurt Business, for whatever reason, still being called that. They won a match tonight. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin got a win by beating the Mysterios. Now beforehand, we had a promo from Rey and Dominic. Talking about The Miz, talking about Logan Paul. John, Rey Mysterio is a living legend. He is an all-time great. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, 100%. The man is incredible. This promo was ripped right out of WWE 2K22, and I can tell you that confidently, even though the game hasn't come out yet. This was just so canned, and like the sound like it was written like by who's ever writing WWE 2K. Rey said, WrestleMania we'll be done with your BS or whatever. And then Dominic, oh goodness, John. And then Dominic took the microphone, and then just the most like uncomfortable like promo. He was like, "Oh, like we're not worried about some Hollywood mega dumbass or something." And like I was like, no, oh, stop talking, just please stop. And then the Miz came out. And he was talking about being a megastar and talking about Logan Paul, saying that Logan Paul was more of a man than anybody in that arena, talking about people being jealous and talking about how he's finally getting respect. Thanks, Logan Paul. John, the Miz called teaming up with Logan Paul, or I should say aligning with Logan Paul, not even teaming up with him, aligning with Logan Paul, a highlight of his career. This is a man who, as he said tonight, has defeated John Cena at WrestleMania, who has won the IC title, who has done all these great things. Apparently, Logan Paul is right up there with the very best of them, of those accolades there. But even outside the promo there, with Steven saying Dom needs to improve his promo skills, and not saying Dom doesn't need a mic. And as we've noted before, Dominic, as Eddie's saying, probably could benefit from going back to NXT going to NXT. He's never even really been there. We had this match with the Hurt Business. Now, John, I ask you, how the Hurt Business is not two people, right? The Cedric and Shelton got kicked out of Hurt Business twice. They got brought back, kicked out again. How are they still the Hurt Business? They I understand they probably still want them to have a name, but my gosh, that it feels so weird to have them still be the Hurt Business. But however you want to feel about that, they won a match tonight, and good for them. But at the same time, I don't feel remotely confident that's going to go anywhere. This is just going to be. They're not. They might not be on TV next week, and yet they won tonight. They pinned Dominic thanks to a distraction from Miz. John, what do you think about all this?
Well, I don't understand the whole naming thing, like you said. I do think that Miz and Logan Paul are going to get really big reactions next week since they're in Cleveland, their hometown. So I think that's going to be kind of working against them a little bit because WWE doesn't want that, and they'll probably be cheered out of their minds. Now, as far as like the Hurt Business, you're right; they're not going to be back anymore, probably for a while. They have the name. I don't know why they have the name. The match that they had was all right, but it was kind of awkward at some moments, especially when Shelton and Dominic were in the ring. I've seen people saying that Dominic needs to go to NXT. I don't think he needs to go to NXT. That would kind of just really hurt his stock at this point. Just leave him where he is. He's doing fine. Uh, I don't know. As far as WrestleMania goes, I kind of think that The Miz and Logan Paul would win, though. Crazy to think that, but I think that's the direction we're going in.
I don't know. I don't know. Okay. In it could happen because like by and large you can't have all the bad guys, the heels, whatever win. So as we are talking about earlier, if they do, if as we saw on SmackDown, Johnny Knoxville, it feels like that's going to be happening. Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn. I don't know if I see Johnny Knoxville beating Sami Zayn, but maybe. But then if you have that, I feel like they're not going to have Johnny Knoxville beat Sami Zayn and Miz and Logan Paul beat Rey Mysterio, John. Rey and Dominic Mysterio. That, like, again, as I said a minute ago, Rey, future Hall of Famer, all-time great, former world champion. I mean, granted, he's teamed up with The Miz, not teamed up with, like, someone else. But I don't know. There's a way you could get there. Steven saying Miz and Paul win. Mysterio's break up, Dominic snaps. Maybe you have Dominic snap mid-match, and then you do that. Jesse, not a fan of Logan Paul winning WrestleMania. He's saying Logan Paul winning Mania with a puke emoji there. But if anything, I would like some, not swerves, just some unexpected outcomes. WrestleMania, some like. It's not fun when you have a WrestleMania card and you're like, oh, this is what's going to happen. Boom, 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 boom. And all of that happens. Like, then, prove me wrong. Show me something else happening. I don't know. Not just saying Johnny Knoxville better not beat Sami Zayn. It's the IC title. I mean, Robert and I talked about this on the SmackDown side of things. And we were talking about this earlier this very show. Like, at this point, very much so, it feels like WWE, or at least WrestleMania, is a show about spectacle and stars and buzz, for like better word. So in a way, like, it becomes more defensible, or at least conceivable of like, oh, give John Knoxville the IC title. Like, why not? I don't know. But I do think I don't know. Out of this promo tonight, I don't necessarily think it's time to have Rey and Dominic split up. And at that point, we are almost okay. Let's call it a year and a half into Dominic being on the main roster, if you could, dating back to SummerSlam 2020, the road to that. So I don't know what else to do in that sense. Is like he's been with Rey and he's been featured on the shows, not consistently here and there. He's been kind of absent here and there, but and he's still very young. I fully understand that. You can't knock the guy. He's still very, very young, but. I don't know. Jesse's saying, Rey, you could say Rey carry Dominic, vice versa. Or, sorry, he's saying with the idea of a split, you could have that be the reason for the split. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Neither do I.
We'll have to wait and see, as always. But overall, that was a surprisingly, fairly eventful episode overall. John, what do you think about it overall here on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'll go with a solid 7. I think it wasn't a good average show there with a couple storyline movements that was positive, but also a couple pointless segments and matches that didn't make any sense. Just a nice average show. Hopefully next week is better. Really hoping, since I'll be there, but
yeah, I try to expect you're gonna get a tag title match. They didn't announce anything else officially yet so far, but so we'll wait and see. Maybe we'll see some more fallout of the Edge and AJ Styles stuff. Maybe you'll get some build for the world title scene, because Brock Lesnar technically is the WWE champion, who's supposed to be on Raw sometimes. Maybe he's a free agent, but semantics. We got a 6 from Sean Akoff, a 6.5 from Brian Everett. We've got a 7.5 from Nestor Kurse, a 6.5 from Steven, a 7 from Jesse as well. A rough range here. You gave it a 7. 7.5. That's pretty good from Nestor. It will be the fallout next Monday of the Madison Square Garden show on Saturday. Again, I think I mentioned last time. I think they should televise that somehow. I don't think they will. They haven't said anything. I think that'd be beneficial somehow to do that. I think that'd be a good way to kind of build up WrestleMania, the road to WrestleMania a little bit. But I wish I was, I guess. But for me, I would say a solid 6.6. I thought it was pretty good, all things considered, especially for Raw. Always building on the Raw curve. Can't complain too much. Michael, an 8.5. saying he's happy Reggie's one of the few dudes to make it out of the friend zone. Cheers to Reggie. There you go. Reggie's enjoying plenty of success in the ring and out of the ring, I guess, these days on Raw. But DJ on the flip side of things saying 5.5, too many NXT 2.0 skits. Again, I would agree. We are leaning a little bit too into the NXT 2.0 side of things there. And I don't see that getting better. So maybe some cause for concern there. Again, ideally, they would advertise the MSG show on Peacock. Would make sense. But that's just me saying I think they should do that. But I haven't heard anything about that whatsoever. As far as I know, it's just going to be a house show that they've been hyping up on TV, I guess, to drive ticket sales. But there you go. So, John, you're going to be there next Monday. So,
yeah, I will not be here next Monday.
I will be here, as always, on Monday. I'll be here, as we talked about earlier. Whatever happens with Reggie, I'll be here to talk about it. Wherever they're going with that and whatever else happens. I'll be here to talk about that on the Raw Post show. John, you and I will be here on Tuesday night to talk about WWE NXT 2.0. Schedule permitting, Robert and I should be here on Friday. Yeah, we should be good to go for this Friday. I was covering GCW this past Friday. We should be good to go this Friday night for SmackDown. Otherwise, the two Dynamite dudes on Rampage cover all things AEW. And otherwise, we've got a great stream of interviews constantly coming at you guys. I interviewed Ring of Honor's Caprice Coleman recently. That went up today in honor of Black History Month, the tail end of Black History Month there. We talk about all things Ring of Honor and more. I interviewed the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, Matt Cardona. That'll be coming out officially this week. I ran a piece of a preview of it for his GCW match against X-Pac on Friday. And yeah, Stephen Chambers, Matt Cardona, 6 titles. He's the belt collector. It is the most wonderful thing. It makes me so happy. I'm such a big, okay, I'm marking out. I'm such a big fan of him. It's so cool seeing him do such great things all over the place. The man is amazingly busy, and so that's why I was especially glad to get to sit down with him and talk about everything that he's doing. He's going to be at NWA Crockett Cup this month. He's doing great things on Impact. He's doing things at GCW and more everywhere. The man is incredible. And I got to talk to him all about it. I'm geeking out, but there you go. But no, it's cool. That'll be going up officially this week. All that and more, always available on all our platforms there, SoundCloud, Spotify, all that good stuff. You know where to find us. Leave, like, and subscribe. Especially so. Now, John, I usually say this for pandemic related reasons, but now I can say the world is a very terrifying place, a very, very, very terrifying place. So that's why we come here to get away from all that. To focus on some not scary stuff, the world of wrestling. That's what we do here on Mondays, whether it's toasted time on Tuesdays or trying to sort through whatever you get on Monday nights or kind of a mixed bag over on SmackDown, whatever it might be. That's what we do here at WrestleZone here most nights of the week, really. So with that being said, John, in doing so, we come together to do one thing above all others. And can you tell me what that is?
Enjoy wrestling.
Thanks for listening, everybody.